Hello, this is Telecom TV. I'm Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Matthew Edwards, who's the Chief Marketing Officer with Evolve Networks. Matthew Edwards, there's been a lot of hype about IPTV over the past year or so. What's the reality?
IPTV is here. It's happening and it's going to happen, and it's going to revolutionise the way we communicate, both for business and socially. So I don't believe that it's hype. It's a matter of how we look after it and how we can deliver it so that we meet customers' expectations.
Presumably ITV's success will be determined by bandwidth. Is there enough bandwidth out there?
The bandwidth that is in the marketplace at the moment is very dependent on the access network, and the access network is really the greatest asset of the telcos because it allows them to own the customer. Owning the customer is very important because it gives the power for telcos to negotiate with content providers. But the access network is also the most neglected asset of telecommunications providers, because what you find is that they don't know where the assets are. Where are the cables? Where's the duct? How many copper pairs run down a cable? What will noise crosstalk, how will that affect IPTV? Because that comes back to the customer's experience. So
data quality is everything then as far as IPTV is concerned. With an ordinary data transaction, a TCP transaction, if you lose 10-15% of the packets, they'll be resent. But with a multicast TV signal down an IP network, if you lose packets, if you lose information, if you lose data, they won't be repeated, they'll be lost, and the result will be an awful experience for the viewer. So what can the telcos do about it?
It's absolutely essential, because without it you won't compete in a very competitive marketplace. You have mobile, satellite, cable players, so unless you can deliver what the customer wants in terms of picture quality, you're absolutely right, you won't do that. Now the interesting thing in that is that if you don't understand where your assets are in terms of the access network, the copper in the ground, how can you possibly deliver it? And unfortunately there hasn't been the focus on the access network and the delivery over broadband, which is the medium by which not all IPTV, but IPTV most efficiently will be delivered in the short term, that the telcos need to concentrate on.
Now you've got a nice little tagline which I quite like, which is about these 5 dirty secrets that the telcos have to address if IPTV is going to be a success. Tell us about them.
The 5 dirty little secrets of the access network. Well, first of all, the access network data is roughly between 50 and 70% accurate. If you talk to any telecommunications company, they'll admit from the PCP to the distribution or to the customer is 50-70% accurate. What does that mean to the telco? Well, the engineer goes out, he gets to a distribution point, he gets to a PCP and opens a manhole, etc., gets in, sees that the information that he's been given is inaccurate. So what he will do is he will either go away and the visit fails, or he'll actually use the first available pair. Okay? Now what happens with that is that if he uses another pair, he's creating to the data inaccuracy problem. And so it's a compounding problem that they need to address, the telco. So let's say then 20% of those site visits fail. Now 20% of those site visits, and if you look at the cost of provisioning and maintenance for a telecommunication company, which averages around $40 US per customer, that becomes, and the average telco is about 8 million lines, it becomes a very, very expensive provisioning problem for a telecommunications company with these repeated visits. And this all comes down to the data not being accurate.
And with engineers having to go out to make an untold number of field visits, this must become very expensive for the telcos.
Again, it depends on the size of the telecommunications company, but provisioning and maintenance site visits could be anywhere in the vicinity of 750,000 visits per annum. And if each one of those visits costs you £150 or 225 euros, that becomes a very, very expensive scenario for telecommunications companies. If 33% of site visits induce another failure, how does that happen? Well, a site engineer will go out and go to a manhole, etc., get in there, not find the pair that he was told to use, so he'll use another pair, and that will be because the pair that he was given has already been used, or it's faulty or something along those lines. So what he does is he takes the first available. The first available could be Joe Blow down the road who's already connected. He's taken that pair, fixed this problem, but we have another problem that's been induced here. And this goes on all the time. And unless we can start recording the actual data that is happening out in the field, or have smart technology that allows us to sort that data inaccuracy out, you're going to continually have this problem.
And presumably this has an immediate knock-on effect into a telco's revenues.
The whole point is, if you increase your data accuracy, you're going to lower churn, customer churn. Customers at the moment are actually avoiding buying services from telecommunications companies because they see the provisioning time is too long. Now, if you don't have the right or accurate data, when an engineer again goes out, he's not going to be able to provision the first time. It takes 2, 3, 5. So your average time to provision is 30 days, when in actual fact, had it been 10 days, you know, you're much more likely for that customer to say, okay, yes, I'm going to play with X company rather than a competitive mobile a satellite or cable company. So it does increase the revenues, and the revenues that have been pitched are up to 6% of total revenue that are being lost due to this.
So what does Evolved bring to the party? What can you do? How can you increase data quality for the telcos?
Evolved Networks offers telecommunications companies a full data solution. And the full data solution is an end-to-end solution, in that we take your data, whether it be in raster format, so plant on map, the old, you know, coffee stain maps, and then or whether it be in some sort of a database where the records haven't been kept up to date. So we take that, we can convert that into intelligent vectorized information, but then we do the clever bit where we take logical information, a la billing information, circuit information, and we use that, which is very accurate, to validate the physical information or the physical data, hence increasing the data quality, which is something that no one else can do, or no one else is doing at the moment. And what does this do for a telecommunications company? Well, it means that revenue is maximised. We're lowering operational expenditure, we're increasing your customers' experience in lowering churn, and also looking at regulatory compliance, which is something that no one else is doing. And we're doing it faster, better, cheaper, and looking after the security of your data better than anyone else has been able to do in the past.
Matthew Edwards, thanks very much.
Thank you, Martin.